Welcome to using AI to drive business efficiency and insight. It's good to see so many of you here this morning. My name's Esther. I'm one of the partners at Moore Kingston Smith. I'm sure most of you are quite familiar with who we are. There's always lots of regular delegates on the list for these webinars. I can see lots of familiar names, but for those of you who don't know us so well, Moore Kingston Smith is a top 15 leading audit, tax and advisory firm. We work with lots of entrepreneurial businesses across all different sectors, as well as not-for-profit and private client. I'm also part of More Global, which is an international network with presence in over 100 countries, so very well placed to deal with your international needs. So today we're going to be hearing from our experts on using AI to improve efficiency and to provide the much needed data and insight that we all need to aid our decision making within businesses. So we thought it would be interesting to start with a little bit of polling. We don't normally do this, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully tech will be on our side, given that it's talking about tech today. And we also thought this would make the session a little bit more tailored to you as well. So please do join in. And we'll share the results as we go through the session. So poll number 1, what is your current biggest challenge with management information? You've got a little choice of answers there. Obviously, if it's other, then please, I don't know if there's options to put any narrative in, but not sure. Poll number 2. So how, is it coming up? Maybe not. Poll number 2, how familiar are you with AI tools like ChatGPT, Power BI, or predictive analytics? Again, just choose one of the options. And I suppose it may be that you're more familiar with one than another, but just pick something that sort of reflects your average familiarity across those. Oh, that one disappeared quick. Everyone must have answered very quickly. Poll number 3. So if you could automate one report or process today, what would it be? What would be your top choice for automating something? That's a free text one. So possibly need to leave that one open a little bit longer. And number 4, final question. Would you even know if you were using AI? I always wonder when you're online and trying to buy something and the little chat function comes up, it's always a bit of a guessing game as to whether it's an AI bot answering or a real person. I often try to ask it difficult questions that AI might not know the answer to, but I can often not work it out. Okay, that's it for the poll questions. And like I said, the panel will weave the answers to those in their answers as we go. So before I introduce the panel, a little bit of housekeeping questions. Please do ask them rather. This webinar is for you, so the more you ask questions and the more we can tailor it for you. If there are any that are unanswered at the end of the session, then we'll come back to you individually, and please do ask them in the Q&A function. The session is being recorded, so if any of your peers have missed it or anyone else you think might be interested, it will be available on our website and also on a YouTube channel in the next few days. And then there'll be a very short little survey at the end. Please fill that out because it helps us inform future webinars. So without further ado, today I'm joined by Nikki Saville, who is partner and head of our outsourcing team, supporting businesses and individuals with their accounting, reporting, compliance and advisory needs. Jared Goodrich, who is Director of Innovation in our Digital and Transformation team. And Jared specialises in integrating artificial intelligence and data analytics into audit. And last but not least, Simon Woodhams, who is our Software Advisory Manager. He's also from our outsourcing team. and oversees all aspects of software implementation, from scoping through to data migration and ongoing training and support. So, Simon, I'm going to start with a question for you. So, how can AI and data insights help businesses make faster and better decisions?
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so as we dive in, I think the poll question at the end was, how do you know if you're using AI? I think that's quite apt for this first one, in that AI has been in product for longer than 10 years, right? And people haven't really known that they've been using it in one way or the other. But things like OCR capture that most people are using has a form of machine learning and AI behind it to speed up those decisions and speed up that processing time. So enabling people, small businesses, just to process data quicker, make them therefore get more real-time information, make better decisions with that information. And then as we'll go through and as we demo some of these things to you, everyone who's here, is what's the next step with that information that all of these companies are collecting, with your with your what's the word I'm after? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, they're collecting all this data, creating data lakes of all of your data to give that information even quicker, faster, more accurate. And we're just at the beginning of that journey, I still think, from the off-the-shelf packages that I deal with. And as we show you, you'll be able to then start sourcing that information better. It'll start suggesting things better to you and guiding your business into, all right, this is what this is doing versus what someone else is doing, etc., etc. So there's lots going on in the off-the-shelf world. I'm sure Jared's going to talk about what other products are there as well. But I thought what we could is just to show you what's coming to product and how that's going to help with some of these areas. So if I just share my screen and we'll talk through as we go on for some of these things. So here we can see this is a Intuit Assist, which was announced a couple of years ago, and it's still not live yet. So bear in mind this is in dollars because obviously it's a US based company, and this was announced to the world 2 years ago, and it's still not live in product as you can see it in this video. But what this is doing is saying, well, we've gone through your data and we can see your last 30 days income. We can tell you what products are, if we just go back a second, we can tell you which products are your biggest sellers, which ones have gone down, give us some trend analysis around these products. This is the sort of information it's going to start sourcing for you. Compare the top products in the previous month. It's all data that's gone into the system. And I think one of the biggest things that is key to this is the data that goes in has to be quality data. And I think that's something that's going to come across throughout today is if you put rubbish in, you will get rubbish out. And if you put good in, you'll get good insights out. That's always the case with most things. We can compare different products and see your cash flow, and then it can go into even deeper insights into what your last 30 days was, what your income was, your positive cash flow. It can start spotting trends in your data to say, oh, we've spotted that your suppliers are outweighing, your creditors are going to outweigh your debtors, and there's a potential cash flow issue coming. And this is all the stuff that's sort of coming to product in the next 6 to 12 months. Some bits are already live in the US. They're slowly introducing bits into the UK. But the UK side is slightly different from a compliance perspective. We've got to be careful around that. These are the sort of elements that are coming through. And then we're into other products such as Sage Intacct, which is very similar. I will just pause here just for 1 second. You'll notice it's called Copilot. And I think this is very apt to say this is different to Microsoft Copilot. They just happen to have the same name, just so not to confuse the two. You have Microsoft Copilot that you've got with Office and all of that side of things that I'm sure Jared will touch on later on. Then there's Sage Copilot, which is their own built platform, just got different names, and then a similar sort of vibe to them. And this is able to not only just give you information, but also help run processes as well. So you've got QuickBooks, which is sourcing information and presenting it back to you. Sages is actually posting information. You can see here, review your unposted bills, prepare a reconciliation, close down the system for the month end. So as well as sourcing information, giving you that insight, it's helping you speed up those month end processes, review information. It will start spotting things like duplicates, which in some cases is already in product. There's lots of things in product already that people may not know are AI. It's just called machine learning. So we'll start to see all these sort of things, and this is live in Intact already. And we'll just let that play through. But as that carries on, these sort of things and being able to do all of these things are just going to save you time to help run your businesses. And it's going to work away in the background, enabling you guys to, as you can see, prepare your reconciliations at a click of a button, see what your variances are. And you can see it's instant and it's quick and it's answering those questions that you might have from a business owner. And then we go all the way through, and there's lots of Sage Intact around reporting, which I don't want to steal Nikki's thunder later on around management information. But then we're sort of down to, even down to likes of Xero. They have something live in product now. It's still a beta test, but what they've done is, as we go onto a tech thing, it fails completely. But I'll speak about it anyway. So what Xero have done is, rather than launch AI across the whole product, they've restricted it just to sales. So they just want to test it on the sales process. So it can raise an invoice for you. You can talk to it via WhatsApp and just go, you might be out on a job, you're a small business owner, you're, I don't know, a plumber or a builder, and you don't want to go back to the office, sit there in the evening, type up a load of invoices. You can just send it a WhatsApp and go, I'm at Simon's house, please raise Simon Woodham's an invoice on WhatsApp. Send it off. And it will even email it out. You tell it what the detail is. It will take that information, go away, create the invoice for you, send the invoice to the customer using their email address, and you don't have to worry about logging into the system at all. And that's the sort of, at the smaller end of software, that seems to be the way that the AI is going to be used, in that it's for the small business owner at the end to just message and get things done quickly. As you go up into the products, it's more around closing month ends, bigger reporting, those sort of insights. So that's the direction of travel. You'll start seeing things in product already that are being beta testing, and there's stuff in product already that you might not even know is AI. Things like automatic coding, and it's spotting trends and where you coded information to before. Things like OCR, which have been around for 10 years or more. That is a form of AI, and it's code, it's picking up those receipts, scanning them in, mapping them to the right places, and all that sort of thing. So yeah, that's the sort of state of the nation in product at the moment. I think is the best way to do it, and what's coming soon. As I said, Intuit announced theirs 2 years ago, and it's still not live. They have thrown, I think they've got something like 4,000 engineers working on AI alone. So you can see they've invested a lot in it. Everyone else is investing a lot in it. But again, it always comes down to what data you're putting in, whether you'll find that valuable or not. Yeah, that's how it can help you, really. And I think as we go forward, it's going to help you more and more.
I think, Simon, just to touch on a couple of the things that you walked through there when we're demonstrating actually the functionality. There's lots of talk about AI, and there's obviously a lot of enhancements and development being developed within these products. And a lot of it is really built around those prompting functions of being able to ask those questions and suggest some of the insights you might be wanting to look at. But interestingly, just touching before we move on to the next question, that one of the responses of our question of would you know if you were using AI, and particularly when Simon's obviously explained that AI has been available in a lot of products and a lot of our just daily use, whether it's Google Maps or whether it's ordering things online, that 39% of you said that you would know if you were using AI, and 11% no, you wouldn't, and 50% not sure. So actually half of our audience aren't quite sure where AI is being utilized within either the financial tools or just everyday use. So that's really interesting insight, but I'll pass back over to Esther.
Yeah, thank you.
I think we had a similar we did a survey in the West End client base last year around AI, and it was a very similar result of people didn't know they were using it.
Yeah. How easy, Simon, some of those tools you spoke about, how intuitive are they to use? What sort of level of training does it require to get people up to speed on them?
Most of them are based around chatbots, which most people have come across on any website will have a chatbot now. That for even I think I had to speak to Virgin Media last week, and the first port of call was a chatbot. I just want to speak to a person to get my answer. And sometimes you have to go around the houses, but it's very, and I know Jared will talk about it, in that it's very deciding on, depending on what you ask it, you have to be very prescriptive in what you are asking, not just have a general blanket, oh, what do I owe money to? Because it will just come up with everything. You have to be very precise in what the questions you're asking it. And what we're seeing in products is very generative AI. So we'll see more of that. And to begin with, it's going to be based on your data. I think down the line, they'll start anonymizing data and bringing that in. So then you can see, oh, I own a cafe here. What's my cafe in the same area doing? But, comparing that data. So I think it's just a case of asking the right questions in product at the moment. And some of them will be, they're not just telling you your data, they're also then saying, literally as we're talking, someone sent through their information on their AI, and theirs is all around, how do I do this? And it will say, right, here's the instructions, this is how you do it, right, what's my next step? And it'll take you to that page. So it's not just sourcing information, it's also helping you and sort of becoming that help script as well.
Super, thank you. Coming over to you, Jared. So what sort of simple and I've got to stress affordable tools can businesses use to start sort of leveraging AI for their management information?
Yeah, perfect, Esther. Thank you. So I think first of all, I probably want to clarify just some key terminology, just because AI is thrown around a lot. It's worth noting, the pace of change of AI is extreme. It definitely can be hard to keep up, but the benefits really are huge. The ROI on projects is tremendous. So I do think it's worth, experimenting, seeing what's out there and just keeping well up to date on it. So really, the first distinction I want to say is between AI and generative AI, because they're kind of being intertwined at the moment, especially with generative AI getting all the headlines. AI you've been using for decades. It's, OCR, machine learning. That's always been there. But generative AI is the more sort of ChatGPT stuff, which is also under the same umbrella as AI. So that's why they're being grouped together, sold as one. And it's a bit of a sort of unclear terminology. There's a lot of marketing push on it as well. So that's just the clear distinction now. So I'll show you some more sort of generative AI tools where I think there's some really good gains to be had. The first two sort of main players I want to talk about are Google and OpenAI. So those are really the two major players at the moment. Google actually, I think, is probably winning this race at the moment. They've got this new latest model 2.5 Pro. If anyone's been using ChatGPT from day one, I do recommend you opening up Gemini and giving that a go. I think you'll be surprised at the results. Yeah, so there are also open source versions. So these ones, you could actually download the entire model that runs all of this output and host this on your own computer, depending on specs. But it's really interesting that that is becoming more and more available, and that is actually also becoming more and more accurate and reliable. So it's a really sort of data privacy conscious route where nothing is actually being sent elsewhere. And then that is the likes of DeepSeek, which hit the headlines. You could actually download that, and if you had a good enough computer, run it yourself as well. There's also talks about AI agents. Year 2025, it's going to be AI agents. Basically, any AI tool under the hood is just it'll have a custom prompt saying, you are this agent, you are doing X, Y, Z. Respond in this very specific manner, and that will, have that you can control your computer with, bots, meeting summaries. All that is doing is just giving a structured output And then some coding tool is just analyzing that, doing something with it. That's all it is. So just keep that in mind with all of these tools. It's not actually as complex as it seems. But really what I want you to take away from this session, and I'll show you all of these tools in a second, but really AI is something you should be experimenting with, constantly just trying the latest models, because even, you testing it 3 months ago, it's completely changed. Something that you thought this was completely unusable, it doesn't work for this task, I bet it probably works now. So do keep trying and seeing what's out there. So I'm just going to share my screen and talk you through some of these tools that you can use today. And I think, it's quite interesting. Let me just share my screen. Can you see this okay? Perfect. Cool. So this is NotebookLM from Google. All you have to do, you can just there you go, Google NotebookLM. This will pop up. You click new, upload a data source. So in this case, I've got some board minutes that I've just uploaded. It analyzes it really quickly. This is all real time. Takes a couple of seconds. And you instantly get a summary here of what this document is. I've uploaded a PDF. It was able to analyze it, take all the text out, and then has given me questions based on this document that it thinks is relevant for me to ask. And all I've got to do is click that. It will then come up with this answer. I'm also able to just talk to it like a chatbot, so I can ask a question specific to this, but it will give me this answer. All of this is referenced as well. So all of those numbers will take me straight back to the document, which you can see on the left. So really good, really transparent. And then also there's this audio overview. So this is really, a really novel way of interacting with it. What you can do is you click generate. It will create a podcast between two AI generated hosts. They will talk to you about the document and do like a fun little podcast show. And you could actually interject and ask questions, and they will respond to you and answer those as well. So it's a really fascinating. And then we've got some handy things here. So this one is a strategic review of it. And it's just gone through and analyzed all of this, and I can see the summary here. There's also a mind map. So I'm just going to click on that in a second. So what this does is it breaks your document down to key components. So here we've got each month of the board minutes, and I can click on these and it will break down further and further if there's more. But it's a really kind of novel way of interacting with your data. And then if I click on one of these, so I think, staff treatment, it's then going to get everything relevant from the document about that key topic, put it here in the chat, and then it's also fully referenced as well. So I can click on that and see the underlying information. So really good for sort of analyzing any document. Like you can upload a load of different file types into this. Here was a timeline that it's auto-generated for me as well, but just really interesting to interact with anything. And another really good use case of AI, which I'm sure a lot of you might have seen. I've not checked to see if anyone's put one in here, but you can have these AI meeting bots, and they will join the meeting with you. There's loads of different examples. So, do look up a guide like this to see what's relevant for you. But it will join that meeting. It will do a transcription. For those in the Microsoft environment, you might have used Copilot and Teams Premium. This is actually, the other tools on the market actually are much more accurate, and will get who is speaking, probably as accurate as a person on identifying what is actually said. I know the Teams transcript can be a bit spotty, but then what you'll get is a summary here, like an overview, notes, action items. You'll be able to see the full transcript and go into it. It will also email out to several people. There's other functionalities that some have as well that will do reports, but it's really like a very low cost. I think most are around £10 per user, and they will just, I'm just going to pause a second. They will just, charge you per user per month, but it's a really low, easy way to get into AI if you want to dip your toe in. And we found really from our experience at using Copilot that was actually the best use case we had, was this AI meeting notes. This is a little bit more of an example of a sort of advanced AI use case. So what you can do here, still go. So what you can do here is there's a load of templates where people have created this autonomous workflow where you will set up ingestion, It'll have a load of integrations. So here I've just searched for sales, and I'll talk you through this one. So this will search LinkedIn companies, score with AI, and then output that into a Google Sheet. And someone's already predefined this, is already set up. You can then just load this in. I'm just going to zoom in here so you can see each stage. So the text here is a bit small, but what this will do is it will go through LinkedIn per your criteria. It will search thousands of companies. It will then extract out all of the relevant data that you want it to do. It will then go to the data processing stage, which again, you've defined and you can all customize. It will then process each entity, get the relevant information, filter out any ones that aren't valid per your criteria, check if the company exists. So you can even have, links to company's house, and then it goes through the AI scoring stage. So this is where you have that setup prompt. It will call OpenAI. It will say, here's all that data. Here's our criteria, right? Rank it, do whatever you want to do. And then it will output that into a Google Sheet or Excel sheet. You can all change this. But here you've got a pre-built workflow, which you might have paid a developer thousands to build, but really is now as simple as clicking a few buttons, saying what the integrations are, and setting this up. And I know that there's people that kind of create these and you can buy from them, or there's all these templates already set up and you just have to click and copy it and go. And there's many different scenarios. There's thousands of these, but it's a really sort of interesting use case where you can do these really custom workflows, which, as I said, would have taken thousands, and now it's, £10 a month or something relatively free. Here internally, so we've built our own generative AI platform, just to make sure it complies with all our data privacy. We get superior accuracy. But what you can do is set up something like this. So you have someone expert define a process. In this case, this was board minute review, and they define all the questions that you want to ask to AI. And then what we'll go through is we'll ask AI each of these questions individually, because really you get better results when you're doing one thing at a time with AI. And we can see the generative AI answer on the left, answering this question. And then actually all of these extracts from the text, from most relevant to least relevant, are also shown to make sure it's transparent. I can then click this and it will bring up that board minute and show me exactly where that text came from. So where AI was a bit of a black box, you can actually, with the right infrastructure, make it really transparent for you to then review. So similar to the Google LLM, you can actually see the underlying document here as well. And a really cool example we've got as well, which I've not seen on the market yet, but definitely will get there and will come. But you can set up a report. So you can upload your own templates in Word. So existing templates you've already got. In this case, this was a sort of meetings summary that we send off, and it will go ahead and list all the attendees, any action points, and we will create an AI template of that, which you can customize. And then all you've got to do is upload your data source. In this case, it was some meeting notes. I've run this before just because it does take a few minutes to run. So I'll download this for you and show you what the output looks like. But really, we can just get an entire generated AI report with very little effort. And all of this you see here is completely AI generated, all in the exact same template that you'd be used to having, but it's populated for you all in place. So I expect to see more and more sort of functionality like this that will be more heavily integrated into the actual workflows that you are doing, also using the applications that you are doing as well. So also from Microsoft, I'm just going to stop sharing now. So yeah, from Microsoft as well, and I think a few other tools. What I think the end evolution of all of this sort of AI tooling is, it will be like a live screen share with your computer, kind of working with you, talking with you as you go through tasks, and be aware of all the context that you are also aware of. So it's a little assistant with you as you go through your day-to-day. Like, that is what I see the end evolution of this being. Cool,
wow, that all sounds amazing, Jared.
Good.
Must get using some of those tools myself.
Yeah, I think sorry, I was just going to say, for now, I think it's really the hardest it will ever be. The UI and the understanding of it is only going to get easier and easier. You'll be talking to it and it will suggest what tool to use. It's going to be a lot easier than it is now, and because that's the end evolution. Because really it's just a chatbot, and it knows best of, you know, what's available to it, what tools to use. So yeah, don't worry if you don't get it now, because, you know, in a year's time, I think it will be easier.
Yeah, I think the message is experimentation, isn't it? And just keep trying it
100%.
and retrying it as things move on. So just bringing Nikki into the conversation then, a sort of, well, what sort of MI and report should every business owner have, and how can we use AI to automate those?
Yeah, thanks, Jared, because I think that actually quite a lot of what Jared was covering off there was talking about some of the challenges with management information. I think just touching on the poll that came back quickly. So 25% said that accessing up-to-date information was a problem for them. Understanding reports, about 3% of you, but 70% saying too much manual work. So hopefully part of what's been demonstrated so far is showing that there are tools out there. I think really, in terms of kind of like top tips for thinking about what you're doing around automation and reporting and management information specifically, is to start with what's critical. It's been said before, be curious with the tools that are available to you, but start light and get confident with what's around you. I think AI and the data sets can be quite overwhelming, and you can find yourself inside a rabbit hole very, very quickly. And so really from a financial lens, start to begin with what is needed, whether that be your cash flow, whether that be focusing specifically on your revenue targets, or generally just building out your P&L and your profitability. The other thing I was going to say is really to work with and select integrated tools. So really try and avoid siloed data sets by selecting platforms that are actually already available to connect to one another, because it enables the AI technology and the evolution to really work at pace and be able to really get that up-to-date, accurate information much quicker. As Jared touched on as well, it's really important to kind of standardize your reporting packs. So if you're creating monthly or quarterly packs, be consistent with what they look like, so that your KPIs that you're evolving and the format of what you're producing can actually really help to improve your decision making. And I'd suggest no more than 5 KPIs in terms of what you're reviewing and reporting for your standardized reporting, management reports and packs as well. The use of dashboards, some people like them, some people don't. I think it's really important to be able to visualize your reporting, and I think they're much more actionable than rows of numbers or pages of words or Excel tables. So keep your dashboards limited as well, though, a bit like your 5 KPIs. Don't be overwhelmed with it, otherwise it just dominates too many choices of selection. I think the other critical thing really is about reviewing and iterating it consistently. So your management information has really got to evolve with your business needs, ensuring that you're constantly looking at the different objectives that you're setting. They might seem quite obvious, but I think these are all the things that are kind of like to take away. You've got all of these tools available to help automate the management information available to you, but making sure that you're really focused on what that should look like and building that pack to suit your business. I think one of the things where we talked about, creating standardized packs, that doesn't mean that they all need to look the same as every other business. What you need to be reviewing is bespoke to you. I think it's just important that there's that sort of core focus on financial elements. One of the things that I see more and more is that business owners will receive management information and they actually don't understand the financials, and that puts them in quite a vulnerable place. And I think admitting that and saying, look, what do I need to understand? What are the key elements that I need to focus on depending on my business goals and my objectives? And that's a really good starting point to get there. I'm conscious of time. I'm going to rattle through, and sorry if I'm talking a little bit quickly. I'm just going to rattle through some key things that I feel that you should be included within your reporting pack. So your management financial information, obviously key purpose for understanding your financial performance, your cash flow sustainability, so what that should look like. But really, I want to lean more so into the kind of automation tools. So Simon touched on before, use of QuickBooks, Xero, Sage, and integrations that they have available to other solutions, whether that be to Excel, Power BI, but also if you're looking to automate cash flow forecasting, utilizing tools like Float, Fathom, Futurely. There's so many available online. It doesn't have to be expensive or onerous for you to get up and running with that. Sales and revenue management information, obviously critical to track your growth, identify trends, evaluating performance by a specific customer or region or product. That's really, it's something to be looked at whether you want to look at lifetime value. I mean, I was speaking to a client just the other day that said that actually they started to utilize AI where they integrated with Salesforce, and it was something that they used to appraise only on an annual basis. They're now able to get that information live because they've utilized AI to be able to analyze the information of their lifetime value. So there's already that kind of curiosity in how far can I go with it. So whether you're using Salesforce or other CRM systems, HubSpot, etc., all of those things can be utilized to build live dashboards and analyze that further for you. Operational management information, whether it's looking at inventory turnover, there's various different tools that you can utilize to be able to look at whether it's utilization reports if you're an employee-based business, service business, tracking projects using tools like Trello, inventory software. There's plenty available out there to be able to be plugged into the core financial data, which is adding further information to your management packs as well. As I say, I'm a little bit conscious of time, so I don't want to kind of go into just a whole pick list. But I think the key messages really is that within the management reporting, other than what kind of like Jared has shared in terms of how you can really start to question and analyze what's available, there's a lot of stuff that's on the roadmap. So people talking about trend analysis, people talking about visual storytelling within their the tools that are already available. We're starting to see that element of it start to overlay some of the management reports. So being able to produce commentary and then look at numeric trends. So enhancing those large language models beyond what is already available, that's being pulled out of the core financial software, is something that's going to shift even more significantly as we move forward.
Thanks, Nikki. And then I guess sort of you alluded earlier to sort of garbage in, garbage out. How can owner-managed businesses and all SMEs sort of ensure their data is clean and secure and ready for AI-driven insights?
I think we do when we do our software implementations, or before we even bring data over, we do a big, we get clients to do a big data cleanse before you enact on any process. If you've got 10,000 customers in your finance system and actually only 8 of them are relevant, remove them from the system, or at least tidy up. We come across number of data sets where you've got invoices that are outstanding, but they're not because there's a credit note that's not been matched and all that sort of thing. So before you embark on any of this, to get decent information, is do a nice big data cleanse of what's there. That will be my biggest thing before you connect anything up or start asking any questions. At the end of that video that crashed earlier, I went into Xero's Jax beta and I did actually type some questions. And one of them was, how many invoices are outstanding? And it came back and said, I've got 102 invoices that are outstanding. I didn't, I had 8. But because in that data set, they hadn't been matched off, it just went, well, all these people are outstanding. But actually their customer balances were 0. But it couldn't distinguish between the two. That's around back to those specific questions. I didn't ask it what my customer balances were. I just asked it how many invoices are outstanding, and it couldn't distinguish between the two. So a real data cleanse, I think, is your first step. There might be there's probably AI tools that help you do that data cleanse. Jared's nodding. That can help deal with that for you as well. You haven't got to sit there and manually do all these matching tasks. There will be a tool that does it for you.
Yeah, I think myself and Jared, we were talking about this the other day, and we were saying that, actually some of this comes down to process as well, Jared, doesn't it? When we were talking about it's if the data's not in a fit state and the processes around it, you're then going to overlay technology and AI over the top of something that's actually quite poor. But yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I also think your point earlier about sort of the data silo as well is making sure that you do have access to all of the data. That's absolutely key. While there are sort of infrastructure changes in AI that are going to facilitate that, it's not quite there yet. So that is actually quite key, is making sure you have the data all accessible, because that's really your first challenge with AI, is just making sure that the AI model has all the information it needs to go through and answer the queries or cleanse your data effectively. So absolutely.
And then finally, final question, what are the biggest sort of risks and misconceptions about using AI in sort of small and medium-sized businesses, and how can owners sort of avoid that and I guess encourage the use of more AI?
I think we'll probably have
So,
different viewpoints on this. I'm
yeah.
going to start by sort of being probably a little bit controversial, Jared, because I know that you'll shoot me down. I mean, I think one of the things that we see often is that, or that we'll see the rise of, is people blaming technology for human error. And that can inadvertently lead to a mistrust of the tools that are available. So we need to be careful as business owners that we are managing that correctly. And I think that we also debated quite a lot, didn't we, Jared, about the questionable use around ethically whether we should be using this and how we policy it. You know, the whole talk around digital amnesia, sustainability concerns for the energy it's using. But Jared, you're much more informed, so I'm going to pass over to you for your counterpoints.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess the topical one at the moment is also the environmental use case. Like,
Oh.
Can you hear us?
I don't know about anyone else, but I can't hear you very well, Jared. Me.
Oh, can you hear me okay now?
Yep, that's better. Yeah.
So I was saying the topical one is the environmental impact. I know certainly my wife stopped using it for a while because she was like, I can't waste the water. But really, all the articles, if you notice that you've seen on it, they're always comparing it to something already monumentally tiny, like a Google search, and saying, okay, it uses 10 times more. Really, all of that information is actually already far out of date. I think AI costs, I think I saw one article in 2 years, they're down 280 times. Another was like within 18 months, it was 98% reduction. So already all of that data is well out of, unupdated. But basically, you can create a whole, 10 books worth of data directly from AI, and it will cost you about 5p. So really, you doing your tasks on a computer, the energy use of running that computer will kind of far exceed the AI costs if you are using that to kind of help you with your task. On the sort of macro scale as well, it's absolutely tiny. There are so many other things that you can do. You know, stop watching as much Netflix, and it will have far greater impact on your sort of environmental impact. So I think it gets a bit of a bad rep for that. Really, I think there's many more applicable sort of reasons why you might not want to use AI. One of the major ones, I think, really is the data privacy concern. We did have a question come through. You know, you really need to be careful what information you're uploading. Make sure you've got your sort of data privacy policies in place, and just really consider sort of all those tools. Like, when you aren't paying for the tool, more likely you are the product, and also your data is then being used to either train a model or just go through and, you know, read through your responses to find out what you're using it for. So there are options out there. Open source is a good one, you know, Azure OpenAI, Google, like they're all going to be very compliant with all of the sort of data privacy and ISO and SOC 2 as well. So just do be careful, because you can also end up in a situation where you are using many different AI suppliers for very sort of narrow use cases. And you're going to have a situation where all of your data is siloed, but also a bit more of a data privacy concern that is being sent to so many vendors as well. So there are a few different issues there, I think, risk-wise.
Yeah, just build especially on those off-the-shelf products as well. Like, we looked at them last week, and they're all different. Some have built their own, as you said, Intuit and Sage have built their own. Xero's goes, I think if you ask it a question, it goes to like 6 different models. And it's always worth reading the privacy notices and stuff. If you have already got a product that's got it, get your IT teams or security teams to have a read through of that. I know the Xero one caused a bit of an outrage when they first released the notes, so I'm sure they've tightened it up, but it's always worth having a read through to begin with.
And AI can help with that as well. If you don't have a team in place, you know, just chuck in the terms of service, ask your questions, and it can kind of let you know what the potential risks are.
Brilliant. Right, I'm going to bring that to a close. We are a minute past our witching hour, so I think we've all probably learned quite a lot today. I think the key message is get out there and use these tools. There's lots of things that are very inexpensive to use and are going to save you a lot of time. Obviously, if anyone needs any more in-depth consultation on this, then please do get in contact with our team. So thank you all very much. Please do fill out the feedback form. That would be super useful. And remember, it was recorded, so you can access it on YouTube or on our website in a few days' time. So enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and hopefully see you at the next enterprise webinar. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.